All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to everyone who's joining us on video. A little time delay, but we're all back together. Yes, that's thunder, not my stomach, you hear. We are just so appreciative to be in the house of the Lord tonight. And Brother Wayne, thank you. You did a marvelous job, and as always, just allow the Holy Spirit to move through you and speak through you. And thank you. I appreciate that so much. And so many folks have said what a great job you did. So you did good. You distributed your money well, because everyone else spoke well of it. I believe that with all my heart, and I have the utmost confidence in Brother Wayne and many others in our church to step up here and help out in times of just time to get away. I appreciate that so much. We enjoyed some time with my mother-in-law. I get it too close, it does this. So they can't hear on there? You can't hear out in video land? I understand it's raining, but that shouldn't. Let's try it, Mike. Bring me down just a bit. Check. There we go. All right, we'll keep it right there. But we had a wonderful time. We got a chance to visit with Grandma just a little bit, and kept her laughing, and got her out of the house a little bit, and see the beautiful city of Jonesboro, Arkansas, and see the cleanup of the devastation that they had there, and just amazing that there wasn't more damage or more destruction than there was. And then, of course, wind was hit just moments. I said moments, but probably about an hour and a half before we got there, and they had some mass destruction. So sometimes it pays to be slow moving. And so we missed it all. We got to see the aftermath. But I know my mother-in-law is a woman of God, because no matter what happened around her, she had a few leaves in the yard. And so we got to help pick up a few leaves and some of the neighbors' trash, and I think she had a couple of shingles on the shed that was missing. So other than that, no destruction, and really just thank you, Lord. Best thing you can say, thank you, Lord. Just a couple quick announcements, and then we'll pray and get right into the word tonight. But I just want to let you know, I got a message a few moments ago from Treva. Today, they laid Patricia to rest up in Oklahoma. And she just let me know that the service went well, and all was doing well. And so just thank you for your prayers, was her words. And I want to pass that on to you. And then also, many of you are aware that this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock, we will be having the memorial service for Linda Hatcher here at the church. And so I know Julie has put that out and invited the church to come and share the memorial service with your mom. We have plenty of room to social distance, so please, if you would, come and support that family and just continue to lift them up in prayer. Because even though it's been a little while since she's passed, anytime you have a memorial service, it tends to just kind of scratch that wound again. And so we just want to lift this family up and remember them in our prayers. Also, if we could, next Wednesday night, we're going to start with the youth first. So next Wednesday night, the youth is going to meet. So if you are youth age, or if your kids are youth age, or you know some kids that are youth age, you can tell them to come and be a part. Because next Wednesday night, they're going to social distance and meet for the first time. And we're going to start with them for a couple of weeks and see how that goes. And then maybe we will slide off into the older children and see how that goes. But we really are serious about the social distancing, and I know that they can practice that to a large degree in the youth, at least as good as we do it, and we're not very good at it. So they should be able to do that at least as well as we do. And so we're going to give them an opportunity and kind of slowly work our way back into it. And for those of you who don't know, Jordan will be stepping in and filling in an interim role until God lays on our heart or He calls somebody. I'm just very particular that God call our youth leaders. I don't want to just go pick somebody out I think would be okay with kids. I want God to call our youth leaders. I want them to have a heart for the young people that they're ministering to. I want them to hurt for those young people and desire to see them ministered to in a special way. And so we're waiting on the Lord, praying to Him to guide us in that and to guide them to us. And so if you would, please be praying with us. And as soon as they identify themselves or God identifies them to us, then we will sit down and begin a process of working with them and seeing exactly where God leads. And so, but we definitely want, and that's not to say that we haven't, but oftentimes people fill gaps and they become long gaps. And we don't want that. We don't want nobody. I believe everybody has done their dead level best to love and serve your youth. But we're just going to seek the Lord in His direction for someone that is committed, their heart is committed to serving in that capacity. And so, please, if you would, just bear with us. Keep praying for your youth group here. And we're excited how things worked out and gave us an opportunity in the interim. As we begin to open Sunday school back up, she'll also fill that role as a Sunday school teacher. The Sunday school teacher and the youth leader do not have to be the same people. If somebody feels compelled to teach a youth Sunday school class, fantastic. See Brother Woody. And if God's calling you to teach a youth Sunday school class, I'm sure he would love to have you. So you can always check with Brother Woody and visit with him. Other than that, we're church as usual. Amen. Amen. Church as usual. Amen. I was hoping you didn't say amen to that. One of the worst things we can get in the habit of is church as usual. I want you to think about that a minute. Amen. We're okay with that. Well, all of us. Because somebody said it to me, I'm going, yeah. Well, I don't know if we want to be usual. So think about that just a minute. Church as usual. I don't want to be usual. I want to be unusual. Because if you're truly serving God and you're truly answering His call to discipleship, you are going to be unusual. You're going to be different. You're going to be decidedly different. And that's what we want to be. And we don't want just to do the same old stuff, sing you songs. We don't take up offering. We don't want to do that day in, day out. We want the Lord to just have His way. Deliver unto us the way He would do it. And then it doesn't become church as usual. It becomes church as the Holy Spirit directs. And that's what it's truly all about. I'm going to ask you if you would to join me tonight in prayer. When we close out this evening, we will close with prayer requests. But right now, let's just open the Word in prayer. Father God, we just thank you and praise you that we can be in your house. I thank you, Lord, for the great things that you do in our lives every day. The things that we miss, that we just take for granted. We just take for granted that we're going to breathe. But God, I know every breath is a blessing from you. We just take for granted that when we put our feet on the floor and we stand up, we're going to walk. But Father God, I know every step is ordered by the Lord. Father God, I just thank you today for the very things that we just take for granted. We believe that we open our mouth and form a word with our tongue, we're going to be able to speak. But Lord, I thank you for the righteous things that flow from the heart of the righteous. I thank you for shaping our words, that they would be words of life and not words of death. Father, I thank you that we can come into your house, that we can turn our eyes upon the Lord Jesus Christ, and He will lead us to the throne room of the Father, where we can draw close to you. Father, I just thank you and praise you tonight for your presence among your children. Lord, have your way in this service. Father, deliver your word to our heart. And these things we ask in Christ's name. And everybody say, Amen. All right. We're going to be in chapter 18. There is 7 verses. I feel fairly confident I can get through that tonight. Woo-hoo. Hey, and I'm telling you now, I believe with all my heart, we're going to get out of Isaiah sooner rather than later. Because I'm going to do something that I really detest doing. And if the Lord changes my mind, we'll go back to exactly what we've been doing. But I'm going to try to summarize chapters. I'm going to pull chapters together like 2 or 3 and summarize by hitting highlights. And then when we get to about chapter 40 and up, man, you got to be careful because you'll say it gets good. It's good all the way through. But that's when you really start hitting those things that you wanted to read Isaiah for. And so if you will, just bear with us, and we're going to give that a whirl. It'll probably take me a couple of weeks to pull that off, so it probably won't be start next week. We'll probably finish 19, because we'll get about part of the way through it tonight. But if you would join me in chapter 18, verse 1. Woe to the land shadowed with buzzing wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, which sends ambassadors by sea, even in vessels of reed on the waters, saying, Go, swift messengers, to a nation tall and smooth of skin, to a people terrible from their beginning on, a nation powerful and treading down, whose land the rivers divide. All inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the earth, when he lifts up a banner on the mountains, you see it. And when he blows a trumpet, you hear it. For so the Lord said to me, I will take my rest, and I will look for my dwelling place, like clear heat and sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. For before the harvest, when the bud is perfect, and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, he will both cut off the sprigs with pruning hooks, and take away and cut down the branches. They will be left together for the mountain birds of prey, They will be left together for the mountain birds of prey, and for the beasts of the earth. The birds of prey will summer on them, and the beasts of the earth will winter on them. In that time, a present will be brought to the Lord of hosts from a people tall and smooth of skin, and from a people terrible from their beginnings onward, a nation powerful and treading down, whose land the rivers divide, to the place of the name of the Lord of hosts, to Mount Zion. This is woe to Ethiopia. This is the burden of Ethiopia, if you will. Depending on what your Bible may tell you, depending on the translation, it may call it the burden of Ethiopia. If it doesn't, it will certainly do it in the title line. But as we begin, the burden, and we all know a burden is a weight that is put on a country till it destroys it. And so we know here that this is the Lord telling the prophet Isaiah, tell the Ethiopians, woe unto them. And so it starts out with, woe to the land shadowed with buzzing wings. Does anybody have another version of that? Does it say something different in your Bible?
Worry.
I'm sorry?
Worry.
Whirring wings.
W-H-I-R-R-I-N-G.
Whirring wings. Anybody got anything different? Okay. Well, for some of them, and it might even speak of it in a little bit different way. Sometimes it says, woe to the land shadowing with wings. Shadowing with wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Well,
It says locusts in the footnote, in one of the footnotes.
they are famous for their bugs in Ethiopia. During that time frame, that's what they were famous for. They were famous for winged bugs. And that's why it's put exactly like that. It'd be like saying, woe to the state of the Lone Star. In this case, he's saying, woe to the land of the shadowed wings, the whirring wings, the buzzing wings. That's the way he identified the country. By what they were famous for, their bugs. Their winged bugs, I should say. And then he talks about in 2, which sends ambassadors by sea, even in vessels of reed on the water, saying, go swift messengers to a nation tall and smooth of skin, to a people terrible from their beginning onward, and a nation powerful and treading down, whose land the rivers divide. Basically in 2, it just basically talks about Ethiopia. They were famous for sending envoys on rafts that they made out of reeds. They literally built rafts and vessels, as they call them, of reeds, and they would send envoys to Judah. We never hear about them coming back because later in that same verse of Scripture, it talks about the messengers of Judah. You go down and talk to them. He was sending the messengers of Judah hoping that they could have some, for lack of a better word, diplomatic talks and avoid destruction. But you know how diplomacy works. When I believe I'm the biggest person on the block, and you are coming down and telling me what I need to do, I don't always receive that well. And so therefore, no matter how much they work for a diplomatic end to all this, scattered and peeled was translated tall and smooth. Tall and smooth basically meant stretched and clean shaven. The Ethiopians were very tall people, and they were all clean shaven. They weren't the land of beards, like they were in, I'm going to say, Middle Eastern culture. If you were in the land of Israel and Judea, most everybody had beards. But in Ethiopia, they were very tall, and they were very clean shaven. So we're talking about Ethiopian people here. We're talking about a country who was once very prosperous, but they've been trending downward. As time has gone on, they've gotten into other things. They have begun the demise of the country. And that's why it says, go to a land, a nation that's trending down. Actually, treading down. I say trending because it's treading down. And whose rivers are divided. All inhabitants of the world. Now we're talking about that. All inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the earth. When he lifts up a banner on the mountains, you will see it. Basically an ensign, as they call it. We're not talking about an ensign in the Navy. We're not talking about a naval officer. We're talking about an ensign being the banner that is lifted as a call to war, and that gives them the place to gather. That was the whole point. When they raised the banner, they call it the ensign. He raised the banner, and that was the rallying place for war. And so all you inhabitants of the earth, when he raises the banner, you see the dwelling place. You see, the place to come together to go and overtake. And when he blows his trumpet, the trumpet of charge, of course, when he blows it, you will hear it. It is time to go to war. It is time to war against Ethiopia and go ahead and destroy them as the Lord has said. I like the Lord. Now, I don't know about you, but there's a number of you here that have been in a war situation. You've been in a battle. You've been in a battle zone. And when the battle's going on, I've never been there, but I'm just going to take a shot at it. You gentlemen correct me. I know at least 2 in here, there may be more, that have been in the battle zone. But when you're there, it is chaotic. It is just unreal of the chaos that's going on. People hollering commands and different needs, and you're trying to hear it all, and you're trying to focus on what you're doing. And honestly, probably, I'm guessing here, but you don't hear a thing because you're focused on your job and what you're doing. So it's a very hectic, very chaotic, at least until there's some kind of calm that comes over everybody. And usually that comes when you feel like you've got the situation somewhat in hand. You feel like you have now, the tables have turned and you now have an upper hand. You generally take a deep breath for a second. That may be the only one you get for a while, so you take one then. But it's a very chaotic time. So when they lift this banner and they sound this trumpet and they're going to war, it is a hectic time. But watch what the Lord says here in verse 4. For so the Lord said to me, I will take my rest, and I will look for my dwelling place, like clear heat and sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. God says, hey, in the midst of all this, I told him it was coming. I sent men down from Judah to tell him it was coming. And now it's time. We have raised the banner. We have sounded the trumpet. We're going to battle. I'm going to go calm. Because I'm in control. So I'm going to sit here and watch all this take place. Now, I want to stop here for just a second. Because does that sound like a loving God to you? You know where I'm going with this. Does that sound like a loving God to you?
Without context, no.
Without context, no. Even with some context, still no. But what you have to know is what transpired before this. You have to understand what the Ethiopians were doing. And then you have to know that he gave them forewarning. I mean, honestly, how many of you, there's probably only about 3 or 4 of you, or 5 of you that this is not going to work for. How many of you remember riding in the back of the trunk when you were a kid? Man, you jumped on the bumper. Usually 1 or 2 kids missed the bumper and skipped their shins or their knees because they were all trying to get in there and get over the tailgate at the same time. Somebody get kicked in the head. All kinds of things transpired. There was more damage trying to get in the truck than there was ever from falling out of the truck. But we all rode in the back, and most of you probably had at least, probably your mother, maybe your dad, but probably your mother all said the same thing. Get off the tailgate and get off the hump, the wheel. Sit down in the bed. We don't want to hit a bump and lose you. Yeah. See, they forewarned you. So when they did hit the bump and you hit the ground, they had one thing to say to you. What were you thinking? I told you. You deserved exactly what you got. And brings to mind the story I'll share with you. I was much older than a kid at the time. I was about 20, I might have been 19 or 20. And I was working for my dad in the summer. We were pouring concrete in the Killeen Mall, and they had a subfloor that had to be taken out. And so we were busting it out with jackhammers, and we were hauling it out, and we were putting it in wheelbarrows and hauling it out, and we would sit on the tailgate of the truck and hold the wheelbarrows. And they would take us all the way to the end of the mall where we could dump them in a big, one of the pull-away dumpsters. And so we were riding along, and we've been doing this for several hours. We started early in the morning, it was late in the afternoon. And I got to clowning around and bouncing up and down on the tailgate of the truck. And one of the laborers was driving the truck, and he hit one of those wash ditches. And he went across it, and so I bounced up in the air real high, and when I come down, there was no tailgate. I hit the asphalt, hit the back of my head, and the wheelbarrow went right over me. Full of concrete. I had skinned up places all over me. I had, ooh, man. I looked like somebody who lost a motorcycle and slid across the asphalt. No shirt on, of course. You know, we were working, just. I remember, embarrassment was more than the hurt at the moment. And so we gathered up everything, put it in there, we took it down, we unloaded everything, drove back, and I remember walking in. I told my dad, I said, hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to go to the restroom and see if I can't clean some of this up. What happened to me? And when I told him, I had to tell him. When I told him, he said, what were you thinking? An idiot knows better than that. Well, that just added to the pain. Because now I was being called an idiot on top of it. Whether I was or not, that was, you know, but still. He was, at that point. Thanks, Craig. I'm certainly glad you wasn't working with me that day. But that being said, there's a warning, and you know better than that kind of stuff. You know better than the horseplay when we already were doing something we shouldn't have been doing. By pulling those, by holding them. But to horseplay into it was even more trouble. And we pay a price for it, even though we do. And so when somebody warns you, somebody tells you, I could not say, well, that was this one's fault, or it was his fault because he hit that bump. No, it was my fault. Because I didn't pay attention to what I should have been doing. Now, does that mean my father wasn't a loving father? No, he let me go to the bathroom and clean up. He did not let me go home, but he let me go to the bathroom and clean up. We got work to do. Then, on top of that, those around me, they checked on me. They made sure you're all right. You say, what's that got to do with this? It has plenty to do with it. Because when you know better, you should do something about it. You should do better. I can tell you this much, I cringe to think about pulling a wheelbarrow on the back of the truck now. I really do. Have I done it? Yes. But I don't goof around. I sit all the way up on the tailgate, and I hang on. Because I know better. So when the Lord is sending you a message and telling you to do something, and to change your ways or anything else, and you don't listen, you deserve exactly what you get. And I don't feel sorry for you if God's been telling you, change your way. I've heard people literally say to me, Pastor, God's just been telling me I need to do this. But I can't do that. Do you know what's coming next? His judgment for not doing what he's asked you to do. And you may not like it. Each one of these nations that we're reading about has been asked to do something. They've been asked to change their ways. They've been asked to trust in him as the one true God. And they've all declined. They've all went about their own thing, doing it their own way. And so therefore, guess what? When judgment comes, that's not a very loving God. See, people are convinced that a loving God wouldn't send anybody to hell. He doesn't. You do. That's been one of the toughest arguments to get across to some people because they believe it's him that's sending them to hell. He had no. As a matter of fact, he's done everything. He's given you every day of your life to make amends and change your ways. But you've allowed everything. You've allowed other gods, those other things that you look to that separate you from Christ. You've allowed the hypocrites in the church to keep you from going to church. Hey, those same hypocrites go to ball games, but you don't quit going. I can tell you right now, I have sat by a man who hated the Cowboys in one breath, and they scored a touchdown to go ahead, and he loved them. That's a hypocrite. But I didn't look at my wife and go, I'm never coming back here again. Never. It's amazing the excuses we want to use. And then have the audacity to accuse God of not being loving in his judgment. Now, I'm really going to go someplace now that's probably going to irritate some people, but before you get irritated and get mad and sow up, and come and see me if you have an issue with this. Because some people's not going to like it. Problems in your home, in your job, in your life, in your children, in your children's children, are often propagated by the very things that you don't do unto the Lord. You allow everything else to have its place, and then wonder why God has judgment on you or your family or your children or your job or anything else. When God destroys these countries, he doesn't go, you know what? Look, I get it. I wouldn't go to church neither. I mean, after all, I know your pastor. I wouldn't go there neither. He doesn't do that. And then say, well, I tell you what, stick your hand out. There. Now, run along and find a church where you can serve. That's not the way he does business. He says, I've called you to do something. Now do it. I've asked you to do something in your life. I've asked you to change something in your life. I've asked you to overcome something in your life. Now do it. Or I'm going to have to execute judgment on you for not doing what I've asked you to do. Oh, Brother Joe, I just don't understand. I don't understand what God's got against me. He don't have anything against you. He loves you. He's giving you a chance. The devil just won't leave me alone. Don't blame it on him neither. We like to blame him for everything that we can't dish off from God. You know, my neighbor, I swear, that man is the devil. The devil just has him and is using him to get me. No. Doesn't work like that neither. I hate to tell you. Because if you're full of Jesus, the devil, when he comes against you, is going to flee. Because all you have to do is just say, hey, not today. I know in whom I believe, and not today. But the trouble is, we don't exercise that power. Because we don't have it. How many of you in here have a concealed carry weapon license? I'm not going to ask you if you carry or not, because that's none of my business and I don't really need to know. But if you're carrying, I just want you to think about something. If you're carrying, but you have no bullets in it, what good is it? Let's do it a different way. How many of you here are deer hunters? Anybody deer hunters? Okay. You went deer hunting. Not one time have you left the hunting cabin or got out of your truck and walked to the stand or whatever you do. Not one time did you forget to load the magazine of your rifle.
I did.
You did? And I bet you drew down, didn't you? And found out.
It's a silent click. Let me tell you.
Yeah. You don't do that again, though, do you? No. No. Because you learned from that. So much for that, as an example. Always one. But seriously, we laugh about that. We think that's funny. But that's what we do as Christians. We accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. That's good enough for us. We got a gun now. Ain't got a bullet one, but we got a gun. I am a concealed carry. I got a gun. I don't have a bullet in it, but I got a gun. Way to go, Barney Fife.
You had one bullet.
Had to keep it in his pocket. Yeah, I know the rhyme. But seriously, I want you to think about that a minute. We would call that asinine. Why do you have a license if you're going to walk around with an unloaded gun? I have a car, but I don't put gas in it. It's a nice car. And you know what? When I get ready to trade it in, I will get low miles. I promise you. Because it don't go anywhere because it has no gas in it. But I got a car. And you would go, why are you making payments on a car if you won't put gas in it and drive it? Why are you paying insurance on a car if you won't drive it? I want you to think about that just a minute. But as Christians, we do it all the time. I'm saved, but I don't want too much Jesus. No, sirree. I don't want too much Jesus. That might cost me something. It would cost you something. Absolutely. But the thing is most of the time, we think we're going to give up something that we really should be giving up to begin with. Because after all, if God is going to ask you to give it up, don't you truly believe He knows what's best for you?
Yes.
Ooh, Lord, if... I'm glad you're getting this recorded so I can watch it myself. I won't watch it myself. I cannot stand to hear myself preach. As a matter of fact, I don't think I'd go to my own church. You got a terrible preacher. I've heard him speak. He's awful. It's his voice. It just grates on you. It's like, oh. I don't know what it is. I've never been able to listen to myself talk. It's really strange. But anyway, back to it. I just want you to think about it. I want you to think about what we say as Christians to the Lord. And then we expect Him not to execute judgment on our lives? Not to take gifts from us? But to continue to want to hang around and try to utilize us? When we tell Him no, we tell Him no, we tell Him no? I don't know about you, but whatever gifts God's given you, you better hone them skills.
Amen.
If you can sing, sing. If you can play, you better learn how to play like Floyd Kramer. If you're a guitar player, hello, Chet Atkins, scoot over. I know some of you looking at me funny because you may not know who Chet Atkins is. He is a very, very talented guitar player. That being said, I'm not telling you to hone your gifts to use them here. I'm telling you to hone your gifts because that's what the Lord gave you to utilize. If you're a teacher, teach like never before. Teach your heart out. Lay it all on the line. Because you're going to minister to somebody and it's going to change their life. It's going to turn them around. Or God wouldn't give you that gift and give you a place to utilize it.
Right.
See, whatever gift God gives you, He gives you a place to utilize it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. But sometimes the choir needs a little preaching.
Yes, we do.
I just want you to understand that you were made. Now, some of you may be living at the apex of your life. Pastor, it can't get any better. I bet it can. I bet it can. Because God can always do some amazing things, even when you think you're on the mountaintop. He can take you just a little bit higher.
Amen.
When you're in the valley, He can lift you up high. God can do some amazing things in your life. You are never, until you leave this earth and cross over that Jordan and stand with Him inside the gates of glory, until you get to that point, you have not reached the apex of your life.
Amen.
You are to be moving forward, going upward, and trusting in Him by His hand to take you there.
Yes, sir.
That's what God has for you. Everybody seems to think, well, this is as good as it gets. I'm just happy as a lark right here. Yeehaw, ooh. Thank you, God. He's going, we just scratched the surface. Hang on. But the trouble is, we're willing to just stay right there. this may not appeal to anybody, but it came to my mind. Now, only one time, I guess maybe 2 times in my life, have I had field level box seats to watch a baseball game. Professional. Actually, that's not true. Only one time in my life. The other time was actually at a rodeo. I was in the field level box seats in the Astrodome at the Houston Livestock Show. But only twice did I have the ability to pay that kind of money and sit in those seats. Most of the time, I'm having to sit like this because the roof is above me. We laughed about that. Going to the Ranger game one time, I took a bunch of boys from our old church, the Royal Rangers. I took a bunch of boys to the Texas Rangers, and they go, "Where are we sitting? Where are we sitting? Where are we sitting?" I didn't know where we were sitting. Honestly, I didn't. I just knew I had the tickets. I said, "We're probably sitting against the fence up there, at the very top of the stadium, just below the lights." And believe it or not, that's exactly where our seats were. One row was against the fence, and the row in front of them. That was our seats. I mean, the feel from where we were sitting, you could put ants on the floor, it was about the same difference. And every game we went to, we've been in the seat. The national finals, we were in the roof. The Big 12 championship game, we were in the roof. And so, and you say, why is this? Because if somebody would come to me when I was sitting in the roof and said, "Hey, come with me. We have you 2 seats on the front row." I wouldn't have said, hey, I tell you what you do. Give them to someone else. I'd have said, "Pack up your stuff, baby. We're going downtown." And my kids would have been looking at me, and I said, "Too bad. I'll tell you what it looks like from down there." But why would you settle for that seat if God's calling you down and saying, "Come on down. I got the best seat in the house for you. I want to see you do something." Every one of you in here has the power to change somebody's life. Don't make God execute judgment on you for not doing what He's asked you to do. You didn't think I was going to finish this, but I'm going to. For before the harvest, when the bud is perfect and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, He will both cut off the sprigs with pruning hooks and take away and cut down the branches. They will be left together for the mountain birds of prey and for the beasts of the earth. The birds of prey will summer on them, and the beasts of the earth will winter on them. Those that are destroyed in war will be left for the wild beasts and the birds to pick apart. That's how serious God is about executing judgment. He don't clean you up. He don't leave anybody behind to bury you. The only thing He leaves behind is the birds and the animals to pick you apart. I don't know about you. God, you're not going to have to leave me for the devil to pick apart. You're not going to have to leave me for the birds and the animals to feast on. I get it. Lord, I get it. I'm 18 chapters deep into Isaiah, and I get it. The children of Israel may be slow to the party, but let me tell you something. I'm with you. I got it. And I hope you do too. Because God will literally destroy you after He warns you and gives you every opportunity. He will leave you. He will take His hands off of you. And I promise you, that's what He did to Ethiopia. He just took His hands off of them. Said, "Let the world have it. Go get them." And He just sat back and watched it all unfold. You go, "What kind of God is that?" I'll tell you what kind of God it is. That's a good God. That's a God that says, "I've done everything I can for you. But if you're going to continue to slap me in the face, there's a point when I back off and go, have at it. I've warned you. I've told you. Here it comes." And I know a lot of people would go, "I don't think that's quite the way." That's exactly the way that is. Here, I sent people to tell you, change your ways. Do something different. Do what I've asked you to do. Live the way I've asked you to live. I'm not just talking about Ethiopia. I'm talking about all the nations that have went before them. start to think if everybody's just kind of falling off around your area, you get it. I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the drawer, but if I'm sitting in the pasture with a whole bunch, well, we'll do it another way. If I'm a bird and I'm flying and I keep flying back and forth, and every time we do, 2 or 3 of my pals get picked off, guess what? I'm going to keep going one way. I ain't flying back again. I'm not a bird of Israel. I get the difference. Keep moving. In that time, a present will be brought to the Lord of hosts from a people tall and smooth. The Ethiopians are going to try to bring the Lord a gift now. Oh Lord, please, here's a gift of my atonement. Here, please forgive me. God goes, it's a little late in the game. And they will bring it to the place of the name of the Lord of hosts in Mount Zion. Man, they're going to bring it all the way to him. Here you go, please. I'm going to tell you what this reminds me of. This reminds me of what I've been told all my life. When you stand before the throne for judgment, it's too late to try to deliver the gifts then. It's too late to deliver the goods then. You've had a lifetime to deliver the goods. I want you to think about something with me. That's about as far as I'm going to get tonight. But I want you to think about something with me in closing tonight. You have had a lifetime. Now, for some of you in here, your lifetime may be 17 years, 15 years, 16, 18, 20, 21, 25, whatever. Some of you in here, your lifetimes have been 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever. Those number of years. You had a lifetime to deliver the goods. See, God didn't make you to just see how long you could live. He made you to deliver the goods. And throughout people's lives, they've delivered the goods. Some for themselves, some for their family, some on behalf of their country, some on behalf of their workplace or their job. But God says, hey, I still have some goods I need you to deliver for me. I still need you to deliver some goods for me. I still need you to touch somebody's life. I still need you to minister to somebody. I still need you to make a difference in somebody's life. And you know what? You can do it. The pastor can't. The Sunday school teacher can't, because they haven't been where you've been. I'm going to tell you, we got some military men in here. I shared this with Brother Doug and Miss Jane. We have some military men in here that can share with young men coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, because they're the ones that understand what those boys have been through. They're the ones that have walked that same road that those men are on or those women are on. Let me tell you something. There's some wives that don't understand their husbands when they come home from Afghanistan and Iraq. They think they're just going to pick up and life's going to go right back to the way it was, and it'll never be that way again. It never will be that way again. And so some of you ladies that have walked down that path with husbands that have been there, you're going to be able to help some wives. And some gentlemen. Because their wives have been there. They don't understand. Let me tell you something. There's some parents that have walked some roads with their children that'll be able to help other parents that are walking that same road. Nobody else in the church may understand that. Because their kids didn't walk down that road. They didn't know what it was like to not know where their kid was. But there's somebody in the church that does. And through much prayer and supplication, your child come out on the other end unharmed, with a change in their lives, and now you're going to be able to minister to that family in one of the darkest moments of their lives, because you've been there. Somewhere somebody's going to be battling cancer or fighting an incurable disease. And some of the men and women in this church that have been cured of an incurable disease is going to be able to minister to them when nobody else can, because we're talking in faith. You're walking in faith. They see it.
Amen.
So for everybody who thinks, well, I could never do anything for the Lord. Sure you can. Get busy. Do everything you can for the Lord. I want you to understand something. The time on this earth is drawing near a close. And it's time now more than ever to do everything in our power to see others know Jesus. To touch and minister, salve to a hurting nation of people. I mean, right now we have people that are just broken and hurting on every corner. Some of them don't know if they're going to make it through this pandemic. Some of them are still trying to eat. Right now we have this issue of the cop that for whatever reason took the life in an arrest situation. I don't know the whole story. I'm not passing out judgment here, but I know it is causing an uproar. And somebody's got to be a peacemaker. Somebody has to understand why this side feels the way they do and why this side does what they do. And try to be a peacemaker in the middle of it. That's what God has called us to. He didn't call us to judge one side versus the other. A judge will do that. He's called us to be the peacemakers. And what the church does is they become divisive. Divisive. Because they either take a side or a judgment. Our job is not to judge. Our job is to bring soothing and healing and salve through the Lord Jesus Christ. Not just in that situation, but in every situation that faces our nation and panics people. When somebody is scared to death of the disease, you have to reassure them. Hey, God's got you. You're going to be okay. God has got you. You're going to be all right. Do you believe that God, His hand, is greater than any disease that could ever infect you? Absolutely. Then trust His hand is on you. Use your common sense to do the things that you know to do and trust in God.
Amen.
Ooh, you talk about a peace that will bring over your spirit. And lastly, when you draw close to God, you become more like God. And when you're more like God, guess what you can't be? You can't be distraught and unhappy and full of stress. You can't be that way because God is not that way. I have never seen Jesus stress one time. Going to the cross was the only time I ever heard of anything. And that was because he was in travail over what was about to happen. And he said, Father, not my will, nevertheless, your will be done. I'd love for you to find another way to do this, but Father, if you can't, I'll be there. I don't feel good about it, but I'll be there. He's not asking you if you feel good about everything He's called you to. He's asking you to be there. And I promise you, when you come out the other side, there'll be no stress. The man on the cross, He had time to save a couple boys. Think about that. I'm in the midst of my darkest hour. One of them saying, hey, don't forget me. I got you. Think about that. In the midst of my darkest hour, I still got time for you. Wow. God gave us quite a model, didn't He? Teach it, live it, watch it happen. We talk about discipling people all the time. You got to teach it, live it by example, watch it happen. That's what Jesus did. He taught it, He lived it, and then He left and watched it happen. Simple model. Any questions, any comments tonight? All right. All right, fantastic. Well, I'm going to ask you this then. Do we have some prayer requests tonight? Yes, sir. Let's start right here.
My sister and my mother, of course, and I interviewed for my job last week, and I'm waiting to hear back from it. So, just for the God's will be done.
Okay. Fair enough. All the way in the back. Daniela has safe travels. Okay, sweetheart. Yes, sir.
Let's uphold Brother Dale, Brenda.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They need our prayers today. And, they, bless their hearts, they possibly in God's will, so we just need to uphold them.
Absolutely.
Amen.
I got a chance to tease Brother Dale a little bit, because they said he was going to spend the night again for a stress test. And I told him, I said, Brother Dale, God's got this. Don't stay up late studying. You'll be fine. And he wrote me back a long dissertation about not having to study because his heart was fine. I'm like, I was just playing. I didn't mean to add stress to you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll follow her request of prayer. I'll pray for my daughter.
Okay.
Her car broke down in Kyle, and it's gonna be there for a couple of days. Until they get her car fixed. Hopefully, in a couple of days. So,
Well, it's better to be in Kyle than a whole lot of places I can think of. Because at least there's something there. I can remember when there was not much there. Bonton Grocery downtown and a Conoco store, and that was it. So we'll pray and lift her up. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Don Sandy.
No.
Sandy.
Oh, okay. Sandy Rover.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else? All right. I'm going to ask you to pray for our church.
Amen.
I mean, I know most of you probably do that anyway, but I believe God has a special calling on our church. I really do. My heart has probably been more, it's not uneasy, but it's just been more, I don't even know a good word for it. It's not troubled, it's not uneasy. I just feel the Lord dealing with my heart. And just basically telling me, man, the time is near.
Yes.
The time is near. And that scares me a little bit. Not because I don't think I'm going to make heaven, but it scares me because there's a lot of people I'm worried about. And he's just been kind of dealing with my heart that time is near. And we've got to get everybody in. I mean, I can only imagine how Noah must have felt when he knows the rain's coming and he's got to get the animals in, you know. We got a lot of animals. Come on, bring them on. Load them up. And so I pray that our church can see the sense of urgency in our world around us and begin to understand and feel that same heart of just having to almost get in the face of people and just say, hey, do you know the Lord is coming?
Amen.
I mean, the days are drawing short.
That's right.
And he's coming.
Thank you.
And are you ready?
Praise.
Are you ready? Patricia today, I know, was ready. She told me.
Yes.
On her deathbed with her last breaths,
Like you say.
she told me. And I know Miss Linda told me continuously she was ready. She was ready. And that's why it makes it much easier to stand
Yes, it does.
and preach a funeral service for someone when you know where they are.
Hallelujah.
There's never easy to say goodbye. It's just easier to preach the service and give the family an assurance. Because if you don't know where they went, you can't assure the family of nothing.
No. Very good.
So I just pray that the burden of our church transfers to our folks. And they begin to see and feel what God has been laying on my heart. Because I'm telling you, that clothes closet out there, everything we got here, our food pantry, we better get ready. Because I'm going to tell you, these last days, people are going to be in need. They're going to be in desperate need. And they're going to get the love of Jesus. And we've got to be prepared to show it. And so, just pray for our church. Anyone else? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Sir
in, you said, woo. Safe travels, you bet. Anyone else? Pray for our youth.
Amen.
Pray for our youth. As they prepare to kick off next week, pray for our youth. I'm excited about it for them. What can they do in the summer? Let's go. Come on, youth. Let's get the heart. Let's tell other young people. I look for our youth to abound.
Amen.
I look for them to just, God is going to bring the person with the heart, and they're going to just take off. I'm excited about that. I feel that with my whole heart. All right, let's stand. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to ask Brother Todd to dismiss us tonight and pray over these needs.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for all that you are and do, for your hand in our lives, and for all the many blessings you give us each and every day. Lord, we lift up all these requests we laid at your feet, Lord, for Brother Dale and for Brother Denny and Sandy, and for these families that have lost loved ones. Lord, we just ask you to provide the peace that passes all understanding, Lord. Be with the doctors and nurses that wait upon the folks and give them the wisdom to heal, Lord, and we just ask for your healing hands upon those that are waiting for it as well. Lord, be with the church. Help us move in the direction we need to go, Lord, and touch all the leaders and all the people in place that you placed in there, Lord. Just give them each the heart that you have, Lord, and to do your will. Lord, just ask you to continue to be with those that are suffering from the corona, and all those that have been touched with it and hurt by it, by whatever means, be it physically or be it economically, Lord. Just ask you to be with those as well, and just once again give the peace that passes all understanding.
Yes.
Be with us now as we leave this place, bring us back all together at the next point in time. We thank you and love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.